Good morning, students. I hope I'm audible. Good morning, Grayson. Good morning, Kate, Neville, Satvik. Yeah, got it. Good morning. "57 are present here." Okay, we will start the class. So, by the end of this class, you will know some basics of light sensors, and you'll be able to describe the operation of photodiode, LED, and photocouplers. All right. Okay. So let us start from the basics, that is light sensors. Bear with me. This is completely a theoretical topic. No numericals as such, and I think most of it will be a repetition. I think you have gone through these topics in second PU. So just as a requirement to complete the portion allotted in module 1 and the syllabus recommended there, will complete this. So pay attention. There will be a good number of poll questions which you will be expected to answer, but answers will not be discussed during the class. Okay, so answers are already explained during the explanation. So poll questions will be displayed and you are expected to answer within the time span in your chat box, which will be again part of continuous assessment. Okay, so moving ahead, as I mentioned, let's go through little basics of light sensors here. So light sensors, they're also called photoelectric devices or photosensors. So these devices are the ones which convert light energy, that is photons, whether visible or infrared light, into electrical signal. So light sensors generate an output signal indicating the intensity of light by measuring the radiant energy that exists in very narrow range of frequencies, basically called light, and whose frequency range from say infrared to visible or up to ultraviolet light spectrum. So actually these are the passive devices that converts light energy, as I mentioned, whether it is visible or infrared parts of the spectrum, into an electrical signal output. So light sensors are more commonly known as I mentioned, they're called as photosensors or also called as photoelectric devices. So photoelectric devices can be grouped into two categories: those which generate electricity when illuminated, okay, such as photovoltaic or photoemissive, etc., and those which change their electrical property in some way, such as photoresistors or photoconductors. So there will be two type of mode of operation there: photovoltaic mode or photoconductive mode. So this leads to the classification of the devices into mainly the four categories: photoemissive cells, photoconductive cells, photovoltaic cells, and photojunction cells. I'll just brief about these, what are they and all. Photoemissive cells, you are familiar, these are the photo devices which release free electrons from light sensitive materials, generally cesium. That is, when struck by photon, of sufficient energy. That is, amount of energy the photons have depends on the frequency of the light, and the higher the frequency, the more energy the photons have converted light energy into electrical energy here in the photoemissive cells. In photoconductive cells, these photo devices vary their electrical resistance when subjected to light. That is, photoconductivity results from light hitting a semiconductor material here, which controls the current flow through it. Thus, like more light increase the current for a given applied voltage. Okay, so typically the most common photoconductive materials are cadmium sulfide, where they're used in LDR photocells. Okay. Photovoltaic cells, these are photo devices that generate an EMF in proportion to the radiant light energy that is received. The light energy falls on, say, two semiconductor materials sandwiched together here, creating a voltage of approximately, say, 0.5 volts. The most common photovoltaic material you're familiar is selenium, used in solar cells. And finally, the photo junction devices. These are photo devices that are mainly true semiconductor devices such as photodiode or phototransistor, which use light to control the flow of electrons and holes across their junction, that is PN junction. The photo junction devices are specifically designed to detect the application of the light that is made to fall on them, and eventually resulting in the flow of current. So the photoconductive cell, as I mentioned, broadly, since this is most common, like I just want to brief on that. A photoconductive light sensor does not produce electricity, but changes its physical properties, as I mentioned, when subjected to light. So the most common here is shown here is the photoresistor, that is LDR, which changes its electrical resistance in response to changes in the light intensity. So as the light energy is made to fall on this, the flow of electrons takes place. And if you observe here in the LDR, the response is, say, it has negative coefficient, which means that as the intensity of the light increases, the resistance decreases here. So that is the characteristics of the LDR. When the light intensity falls on the material used here, its resistance, that is the physical characteristics, changes. That means higher the intensity of the light, resistance will decrease. So that is brief about the LDR. Moving on to photo junction devices, where we are interested with now. In our syllabus, we have photodiode. Broadly, there are two types of devices there, photodiodes and phototransistors. Photodiodes, you are already familiar. They are basically PN junction light sensors or detectors made from silicon semiconductor PN junction, which are sensitive to light and which can detect both visible light and infrared light levels. So photo junction devices are specifically made for sensing light, and this class of photoelectric light sensors include photodiode and phototransistors as listed here. So these PN junction diode that will conduct current when exposed to light. So this diode is actually designed to operate in reverse bias mode, as you are already familiar, I guess. You have already studied in second PU. They operate in reverse bias condition, right? So which means that it means the larger the intensity of the falling light, the greater will be the reverse bias current, correct? So yeah, typically this is the symbol and construction detail of the photodiode here, and even the VI characteristics. So the construction of the photodiode light sensor is similar to that of the conventional PN junction diode, except that the diode outer casing is either transparent or has a clear lens to focus the light onto the PN junction for increased sensitivity. So the junction will respond to light particularly longer wavelengths. So here the VI characteristics of the photodiode with no light on its junction is indicated with the dark current here, which is similar to the normal diode and the rectifying diode, which we are familiar till now. So when the diode is forward biased, when the photodiode is forward biased, there is an exponential increase in the current similar to the normal diode. All right. So let's see the working of the photodiode here. When it is reverse biased, the reverse current increases as the intensity of the light increases. Okay. So this means that the reverse current is directly proportional to the intensity of the light falling on it, isn't it? So it consists of this PN junction mounted on, say, a P substrate and is sealed in a metallic case. The junction point is made of a transparent lens, as I mentioned, showed in the previous figure there. And it is the window where the light is exposed to fall. Okay. So as you know, when PN junction is reverse biased, a very small amount of reverse current flows, right? A reverse current is generated thermally by the electron hole pair in the depletion region of the diode. So when the electrons present in the P side and the holes present in the N side are the minority carriers here, isn't it? So when a certain reverse bias voltage is applied, then the minority carriers, that is holes from the N side and the electrons from the P side, they experience this repulsive force from the terminals of the battery here. So because of which what happens? There is a depletion region generated, isn't it? So to this junction, if the junction of this diode is illuminated by the light, as the light falls on the surface of the junction, the temperature of the junction increases. This causes the electron holes to get separated from each other, and eventually the electrons from the N side get attracted towards the positive terminal of the battery, and there is a flow of current. Okay. So similarly, that is, holes from the P side will get attracted to the negative potential of the battery, and there is a flow of current. So this flow of current depends on the light falling, the intensity of the light falling on the junction. So when the light falls on the PN junction, it is observed exponentially by the junction. This will generate more electron hole pair, or we can say characteristically, the amount of reverse current increases. In other words, as the intensity of the falling of light increases, the resistance of the PN junction diode decreases. Thus, the intensity of the light energy is proportional to the current flowing through the device. So I hope this explains the operation of the photodiode there. This action, that is when it is reverse biased and the flow of current happening because of the intensity of the light, these diodes are, say, popularly used in say alarm circuits or counter circuits, etc. These diodes are more conductive, and the best part is that they are very fast. They have very fast response time. Okay, so that is the one of the main advantage of photodiodes, that when used as a light sensor, the fast response is its advantage for different light levels. But one disadvantage of this type of photodiode device is that the current flowing through is quite small, even when it is fully lit. or even the intensity of the light is more, the current flowing through the device is very low. That is indicated here in the VI characteristics. You can observe here. This is again the reverse characteristics tilted or rotated, so that you'll be able to understand it. In the x-axis, we have this reverse voltage, which is given by V lambda, and in the y-axis, you have current, which is in microamps. Okay, and if you observe there from the characteristics, you can observe there as the reverse voltage increases, say at typically at 20 volts, for different intensity of light. This is FC is nothing but here intensity of light. For 20 volts, if you observe, for different intensity of the light, the current increases linearly, right? Even at the maximum intensity of the light, the current observed is around 800 microohms, which is quite less. So that is the drawback of this photodiode, that even with a higher intensity of light falling through it, the current coming out from the device is quite small. But again, it makes it a popular device as a photo sensor. As I said, this is already a repetition, so I assume that you have picked up some important points there. So here comes the poll questions, and I expect you to answer, say, within 5 minutes. Okay, your answers will be there on the chat box. So first poll question. Okay, I'm getting the answers. Okay, fine. So I'll be changing the question within seconds now. There are 4 questions. Okay, next question coming up. Answer which is the appropriate sentence with regards to photodiode. You can just give the number there as answer, indicate the number there. There are no responses yet. Okay, you can take your time. Which is the appropriate answer? Are you all with me? Are you all reading? Yeah. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Satvik. Thank you, Anusha. Yeah, if there is some response, I'll be assured that people are there at the other end. Thank you. Okay. So you need more time to give the appropriate answer there, the number. Go through. Next question coming up. Next two questions coming up. Yeah, you have to answer question number 4 as well. All right. Okay. Let's see how many of you have answered till now. Okay. So let me note down these responses. One minute, I'll just note down these responses. Response of students. Okay, moving on. So we'll proceed with LEDs now. Again, as I said, if it is repetition, please pay attention. Again, you will have some poll questions coming up there. So LEDs, or the light emitting diodes, as it is commonly known, is basically just a specialized type or highly doped diode, as they are they have the similar electrical characteristics of that of the normal PN junction diode, what we are familiar. Okay, so these are the most visible type of diodes. That is, they emit a fairly narrow bandwidth of either visible light at different colored wavelengths, invisible infrared light for remote controls, or laser type light when a forward current is passed through them. Okay, so LEDs, that is light emitting diodes, are made from a very thin layer of fairly heavily doped semiconductor material, and depending on the semiconductor material used and the amount of doping when forward biased, an LED will emit a colored light at a particular spectral wavelength. So when diode is forward biased, electrons from semiconductor conduction band recombine with holes from the valence band, releasing sufficient energy to produce photons, which emit say monochromatic, that is single color of light. So because of this thin layer, a reasonable number of these photons can leave the junction and radiate the colored light as the output. Okay, so semiconductors with a band gap close to 1.8 electron volts are the are ideal materials for LEDs. They are made with semiconductors like gallium arsenide or gallium phosphide or gallium arsenide phosphide, etc. Then when operated in forward bias, the light emitting diodes, that is LEDs, are semiconductor devices that convert electrical energy into light energy. So we have to note here that the reverse breakdown voltage of LED is very low, typically around 5 volts. So if it is comes into excess of this reverse voltage, then they will get fused. So we have to take care whenever using LEDs in the circuits. So the light emitting diodes are available in wide range of colors, which we are already familiar. We have seen in many applications there. The commonly available are red, amber, yellow, green, and even blue. And these are used as visual indicators and as moving light displays, right? So the construction of the LED, the light emitting diode, is very different from that of the normal diode. The PN junction of the LED is surrounded by a transparent hard plastic epoxy resin hemispherical shaped shell or body, so which protects the LED from both vibration and shock. So LEDs have two leads, as you can observe here, anode and cathode. Cathode is generally identified by either a notch or a flat spot, or cathode lead will be shorter compared to the anode lead. That is, anode lead will be always longer than the cathode. So unlike normal incandescent lamps or the bulbs, what we use in our households, which generate large amount of heat when illuminated, isn't it? But the LEDs produce cold generation of light, which leads to high efficiency than the normal light bulbs. Because here, the most of the energy generated, that is generated energy, radiates away this visible within the visible spectrum. So since these LEDs are solid state devices, they're extremely small and durable and provide much longer lamp's life compared to that of the normal light sources. So coming to the light emitting diode colors. So how do they emit color or get color, right? So unlike the normal diode, which are generally made of germanium or silicon, which they are used for, say, mostly the power rectification, isn't it? The normal diodes which we are familiar. LEDs are made from exotic semiconductor compounds such as I named earlier, gallium arsenide, gallium phosphide, gallium arsenide phosphide, silicon carbide, gallium indium nitride, etc., and all mixed together at different ratios to produce a distinct wavelength of color. So the table what you have here is just an indication and information to you. So with the different semiconductor materials used with different ratio, the color and the wavelength in which the output can be got from such materials when subjected to forward voltage of mentioned here in the table is just for your information. So VF here is nothing but the applied voltage. So during this range of voltages, you can expect the output, that is radiation, the light emitted of different color in these wavelength band. That is just for your information. So the typical VI characteristic, and again the list is given here, the types of LEDs, we're indicating the color of the LEDs and the semiconductor material there. And the VI characteristics are shown here. So most common LED require a forward operating voltage between 1.2 to 3.6 volts with a forward current rating of 10 to 30 milliamps. Okay, so typically this is the LED with a VI characteristic shown. So as you can observe, normally the LEDs will operate at the range above 1.2 volts there. And as you can observe, the current what we are getting in milliamps will be varying as your input voltage is varying. That is about LED. And again, as I mentioned and I repeat here, it is a repetition for you. So let's see the response in the for the poll questions here. There are 4 poll questions. You have to answer within seconds. I'm changing the questions there. I've not got any response till now. Answer both the questions, question 1 and 2. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next 2 questions. Okay. All right. I hope all have answered there. Let me note down. Okay, we'll move forward. Thank you for your response. Moving to optocoupler, optocoupler, or also called photocouplers. So an optocoupler is an electronic component that interconnects two separate electrical circuits by means of light sensitive optical interface. So we know from our previous discussion, or we have observed in the practical scenario, that the transformers that what we use, they not only provide step down or step up voltage, but they also provide electrical isolation between the higher voltage of the primary side and the lower voltage at the secondary side, right? So in other words, transformers isolate the primary input voltage, which generally is 230 volts, 50 hertz, right, in India, from the secondary output voltage. This isolation using is electromagnetic coupling, right? And this is achieved using magnetic flux circulating within the laminated iron core in the transformers. But in the electrical circuits, in the circuits, what we are using, we can isolate the electrical circuits using the light source. Okay, so electrical isolation between input source and the output load using light is achieved by the optocouplers. So what I mean to say, optocouplers isolate the input source and the output load, right? So the basic design of the optocoupler, one second. Yeah, consists of an LED that produces infrared light and a semiconductor photosensitive device. Okay, this photosensitive device can be a phototransistor or a photodiode. Okay, so you have a LED and a photo sensitive device. So these are enclosed in a light tight body or the package with a metal legs for electrical connections as shown here. Okay, so assume that a photo transistor device as shown in the figure here. So current from the source signal passes through the input LED, which emits an infrared light whose intensity is proportional to the electrical input that is applied to the LED, right? So this emitted light falls upon, say, on the base of the phototransistor, as shown here, it is a phototransistor, causing it to switch on. Okay, I hope you have basic idea of phototransistor from your second PU, where you understand that the input is given to the base of the transistor in order to turn it on and to get the output current at the collector. Okay, assuming that you have this basic information. So the light emitted by the LED falls on the base of the transistor, causing it to switch on and conduct it similar to the normal operation, right? So when the current flowing through the LED is interrupted, the infrared light emitted by the LED is cut off, right? So causing the phototransistors to stop conduct or turn off. So the phototransistor can be used to, say, switch off the current in the output circuit. So that is how the LED can be used, and that is the combination of LED and the photosensitive device can be used as optocouplers. So here the input will be the electrical signal that is applied to the LED, and the output source here will be the output coming from the transistor. So here it is, both devices are isolated, okay, but it is enclosed in a say the body, as you can observe here, inside, where the combination, that is the electrical circuit of LED and photosensitive devices will be inside this figure shown as a optocoupler, or the body that is shown as the optocoupler with the metal legs there, so which is used in the electrical circuit for connections. So these electrical legs will give us the output pins for connecting the input and the output input and the output circuits there, using this particular optocoupler IC. That is all about the photo diode, LED, and optocoupler. I hope that is clear. If you have any discussion or any point to repeat here, I can do it. Is there any questions from your side on these topics? And as I mentioned, it is completely theoretical, and the questions that you can expect from these topics would be just to explain the working principle of, say, photodiode or LED or the photocoupler.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Kate.
Ma'am, in an LED, can you tell me the range of the current?
Range of the current?
Yeah, like the voltage should be between 1.2 and 3 volts, right? What about the current?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the type of the semiconductor material used and the emitted light and its wavelength. Based on that, you will get the current here. Generally, it will be in terms of milliamps. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ma'am, what is the use of optocoupler?
That's what, to isolate the circuits, electrical circuits. See, let me show you that. Yeah, this may look like one device, right? But internally, there is no electrical connection between LED and the photosensitive device. There is no, say, electrical contact there. But the light emitted will fall on the base of the transistor as shown here, or you can imagine the photodiode as well. Okay, that will eventually give the appropriate output depending on the light emitted there. Correct. So there is no actual electrical contact between LED and the photosensitive device. So that provides the electrical isolation. Did
Yes,
I answer you, Aveen?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So wherever electrical isolation is required, photocouplers or the optocouplers are used. Any other doubt? Can we have few more discussion? Any other doubt here? Had you studied optocouplers in PU? Any introduction of that? No. Okay. 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 Yeah. Got the answer. Fine. But you had studied photodiode, I guess. Did you study LED? LED? Okay. Okay. All right. For this level, that is first year, and just to know what is optocoupler is enough for you. That's why I didn't go in much detail there, giving the electrical circuit and all. That is not required. Okay. And what you can expect here is the questions just as sometimes short notes. Okay. Or otherwise, it can be some sub question in the main question. Just ask for, say, 4 marks or so, like that. It's a small topic in module 1. Okay. All right. That completes module 1, and the last topic about the ICs. As I mentioned, it is part of self-study. I had given that in your, let me show you the syllabus. Where is this? Is the screen visible? So in the module 1, the last part, that is 78 XX series or 7805 fixed IC voltage regulator. This topic I've assigned it as a self-learning topic, and all other topics from module 1 is covered. So that completes module 1. If you have doubt in any of the topic or anything, you can ask me here, or otherwise I'll be sharing all the materials, remaining materials that I have to share. I think of capacitor filter, and today's I'll be uploading that in the Google Classroom. Okay? Yeah. Fine. Yeah. Thank you, Jason. All right. We will end the class here.